Leg je voeten op, leg je voeten op, hop, leg je voeten op. Leg je voeten op, oh, leg je voeten op. Leg je voeten op, hop, leg je voeten op. Leg je voeten op, oh, leg je voeten op. En begin spring, spring, spring. Want liefde is een lied en jij moet zing, zing, zing. Oh, leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want liefde is een lied, kom laat ons zing. Het is tijd dat ons meer dankie sê vir alles wat ons het. En vir die skoen aan ons voete en die kleren aan ons lyf en die kossies wat ons eet. En dankie vir die werk waarin ek elke dag mag ry. Alles hier die plekse highways nie vir my. Leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want liefde is een lied en jy moet sing, sing, sing. Oh, leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons sing. En dankie vir elke nieuwe dag wat ons mag sien. En vir die hitte van die son wat skyn oor elke liewe een. En dankie vir die huis waarin ons woon hier in die stad. Al verlang ons na die stilte van die veld of dankie sien. Leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want liefde is een lied en jy moet sing, sing, sing. Oh, leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons sing. Oh, die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons sing. Oh, die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons sing. Leg je voeten op, leg je voeten op, hop, leg je voeten op. Leg je voeten op, oh, leg je voeten op. Leg je voeten op, hop, leg je voeten op. Leg je voeten op, oh, leg je voeten op. En begin spring, spring, spring. Want die liefde is een lied en jy moet sing, sing, sing. Oh, leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons sing. Oh, leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want die liefde is een lied en jy moet sing, sing, sing. Oh, leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons sing. Oh, die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons sing. Oh, die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons sing. Oh, die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons sing. Laat ons sing.
I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Wow, I can't believe I pulled that off. I mean, texting one person and then making a phone call with another person all as this video is wrapping up. Wow, I didn't think I was going to get there. Let me see how this sounds over here. Wow, I didn't think I was going to get there. Wow, I mean, literally, I hung up the phone as this camera. I had to turn the camera on. I had to turn the microphone on. I had to finish the phone call. I had to finish the text. Wow, that's crazy. Shocked I did that. So I did a video. I recorded a video this morning about Monty Libbuk. Not intended to, be mean to Monty Libbuk or anything like that. I've been one of his biggest defenders. But I posted on Rugby Sunday. Now they've got 7,000 subscribers over there. I thought maybe we get some traction. Yeah, and son of a gun. Well, Erica, the stream was posted in the last 30 minutes. Typically with YouTube, if you post a video within 30 minutes, you don't get notified, which is weird. If I do a mobile, that somehow you get notified for that. But when I do a PC-based one, when you do it from your studio, not from the app. When you do it from the app, it's within 30 minutes. It typically notifies people. I know that because when I do when I do from my mobile on the app, when I do live streams, typically get a larger audience because so many people get notified and they find out about it. So Alan saw the video, I take it, on Monty Libick. What'd you think, Alan? Any thoughts? A lot of people are commenting on it, and that's what I wanted. But that video, in less than an hour, had 1,100 views. Woohoo! That's awesome. I mean, typically when I put a video prepared on that channel, I'll get 30, 100, 200, 300 views most, but already 1,100 in the first hour. Got to capitalize on the attention that the channel's getting right now. We're over 7,100 subscribers on Rugby Ascendant. We gained another 600 or 700 yesterday. 126,000 views on my live stream. And that's despite the fact that Flow Rugby and Supersport conspired to screw me yet again by not giving me the broadcast. My audience was very patient. We had 350 people, and 300 or 10 or so stayed and hung with me until we had the stream. It was really good. It's like Kip from Knight Rider. Do I really? What, here or on the video? Really? What, here or... No, it's Kit, not Kip. Kit, that's who David Hasselhoff talked to. That's the actor. That's not his name. That was the character. So the car was called Kit, not Kip. Yeah, so let's see who's here. Alan's here. Chugsy's here. Erica, Pablo Charlie, Nick Muller, Alan Coates, Alan Brokenshaw, Arctic. All right, welcome to all of you. Anyone else who's tuning in right now, I appreciate it on a Sunday. We're going early because Ronaldo Jos is back online. It was a nice vacation where Ronaldo wasn't stealing my airtime, but he's back and he's a stubborn cuss and he's busy. There's no echo. What are you talking about? I hear no echo. Busy. There's no echo. What are you talking about? I hear no echo. Sounds perfectly fine to me. Okay. Count 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Count 2, 3, 4, 5. Sounds perfectly fine to me. There's no echo. Dude, quit messing with me. It's not funny. Every time I remove this cable and put it back in, that wears it down. Eventually, this microphone won't work because that. If there's an echo, then tell me. If there's a real problem, then tell me. If you have a sound problem, my recommendation is always to refresh your app or refresh your web browser and go from there. Shut and Tell's here. There you go. Thank you, Arctic. That's what it is. Please do that. It's YouTube. YouTube is having a lot of problems lately. As I said 2 weeks ago, every time I went into my videos to put it in one of my playlist was jumbled. Historically with YouTube, it isn't alphabetical. It isn't most recent playlist that's added or most popular. What they do is the one you populate the most. So typically, the news of the day is the top one on the playlist. And then the Boca list, the South Africa list, is either 1 or 2 if I've done a South African video. But 2 weeks ago, everything was all jumbled up. And as a consequence, I had to search and scroll through all these things, which took time. I don't know what happened with YouTube. They didn't tell us. They just did it. And then suddenly, a few days ago, it's back. The delay in the live stream, this is set for ultra low latency. So it's supposed to be a 3-second delay between me speaking and you getting the signal, which is reasonable. That's a good broadcast delay. However, for the better part of 8 weeks now, I've noticed my videos, typically, I have to sit here and wait 30, 32 seconds before it goes live. I have a blank screen. The clock is ticking. I've already started the stream. It's receiving the message, receiving the software from my streaming software. By the way, I was 2 minutes late because this damn Streamlabs OBS crashed again. It hasn't crashed for days, and suddenly it crashed 3 times in a row. So I just had to go with it. Anyway, I think it has something to do with it's uploading media. I don't know why it's uploading media. I didn't add anything new. It makes sense on the Rugby channel because I'm always putting images in there of team lineups every week, adding those images, sometimes adding new stadium background photographs. So it would make sense it would update, but I've put no new files on this channel, so it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, but here we're doing all right. We're at 18,900 or thereabouts. I think that's the total number. But what's going on with a Sunday? Where's everybody at? You out sleeping or something? 18,958, trying to get to that 19,000 mark, and of course 20,000, which would make me very happy. Ian Cameron for Minister of Police, says Pablo Charlie. That's not going to happen. There was a slight rattle, says Marilyn. Okay, the Bucks were just a different team, Colonel, not one line-out loss, for example. They did lose a couple lineouts, did they not? Or is my memory failing me? They weren't rewarded for their scrum dominance. I'll tell you what, he's a terrible official when it comes to the scrums. Only one time were they rewarded for scrum dominance. They just blew up the Pumas scrum the entire game. Could have... Oh, that's why he said it sounded like Kit from Knight Rider. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway. Welcome to the program, folks, on a Sunday, the 29th of September. Dang, September's almost gone. We're nearly in October. It's time for Halloween. I should light the lamp for Halloween. Trick or treat. The Halloween lamp is lit. Anyway, actually hear my voice. It's not the microphone. It's my voice. It's a bit deeper this morning. I don't know if it's something in my lungs or what's going on. I don't know how you watch rugby and comment and still have a voice the next day. Yeah, no, I didn't have any undefined, no brandy. And yeah, that was, look, I'll tell you right now, folks, and I'll apologize to my viewers. I think people were pretty understanding and they were as bored as I was. But the Lions game, I had been dealing with getting the computer fixed and driving these crazy trips in the dark through a turnpike, toll road, down into the country, up in the hills on this little trail into this guy's place. Dropped my computer off there after I spent hours trying to repair it. Got it fixed. I came back. He fixed it. Went back down there at midnight, after midnight, 12:30 in the morning to pick it up, to bring it back. Got back here at 1:30 in the morning and turned it on, and the computer was working. Thank goodness. And then I had to set up all the banners. So those banners take time. I have to download images. I have to edit images. I have to set all the dates, the times, the stadiums, put it in place. Then I have to go into Rugby Ascendant. I have to upload and populate each one of those streams. I'm not asking for people to have misery or commit or feel bad for me. I'm just telling you what's going on. That takes time. That took well over an hour to get all that in place. Then I've got to take those and put them all the WhatsApp groups, put them in the Telegram groups, and sometimes also put them on my Twitter account so that people actually come and watch it. And that takes a lot of time. So I finished all that. I went to bed at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. I did a quick stream so that people knew at 3 o'clock, so people knew that my computer was working. Went to bed at 4 o'clock. Got up at 6. Did I shower? I'm trying to remember if I showered. And then I did the Lions game at 7, which was okay. It wasn't great, but I was a little tired, but I did okay. But then the Bulls game was boring as all get out. Nothing to get excited about. And finally, the Springboks game, I was wide awake, and so I thought that was a great broadcast. But unfortunately, we didn't have the feed, and it was very frustrating. They keep doing this, and do it always on the games that matter the most, buttholes. Anyway, so we got that one going finally after 15, 16 minutes of the game was underway, and the Springboks already scored 2 tries. So just like the previous week, they'd scored 17 points in the first 14 minutes. Here they had 2 converted tries, and I missed them. I missed the Fossey try, and I missed the Peter Steph du Toit try. Anyway, so then we got going. When that was over, then I had a short break, and then the Stormers were on. And that was a mind-numbingly boring game, so I struggled with that one, so... Yeah, Flow Sports was a mess for all of us, Arctic. Yeah, it sounds like I have a bed voice. Well, you didn't miss anything in the first 20 minutes. Oh, you mean you haven't seen the game because they haven't loaded up? I don't know what's going on at Flow Rugby. Thank you. Hang on a second. Sorry about that, folks. That was critically important for me to take care of. Yeah, Flow Rugby messed me around yesterday. It's not the first time. Want to see the national anthem. Yeah, I want to see the national anthem too. The 10-year-old girl who is a cancer patient, I really wanted to be inspired by that. I did see the video of her getting a box from the Springboks at home. It was tearful. I was choked up. Heck, I was choked up, a couple times yesterday. But maybe I was just tired and giddy. Who knows? Anyway, but here's your friend, folks. Here's your friend. I'm running out of this. I had 3 of these. I'm down to my last can. There you go. Little compressed air. You squeeze that, clean out your keyboard, or clean out the inside of your PC case. And, of course, the chemical reaction, this thing gets pretty cold as all the heat gets released. Anyway, yeah, Flow Rugby did mess me up. I moved the time this morning on Sunday because, like I said, Ronaldo is carping into my time once again, and but I'm okay. I'm a good sport. I'm directing people to his program after this if you want to go watch it. So, what was the issue with the PC? The problem with the PC was the pump, the heat sink, and the water pump weren't working. They just stopped working. Also, quite frankly, for a machine that's this powerful, with this sort of processing and all the stuff going on, this Pentium i9 10900F chip, which was the number 2 top chip when I bought that 3.5 years ago. That thing consumes a lot of power and heats up. And so it had a 240 millimeter cooling system, and it had 3 fans across the top, but the third fan wasn't part of the cooling system. So there's only one radiator. The radiator was this big. It occupied about half the top, maybe a little bit more than half of the top of the case. And I replaced it with a 360, so it's longer. Same number of fans, but the difference is that it has more water and more space to cool and exchange the heat. 50% more, so that should work. In fact, when I look at the software that comes with it, the IQ software that comes with this Corsair board, it shows me the temperature. Right now, my PC is operating, my chip is at 40 degrees Celsius. Yeah, so that's pretty good. It was running as much as 99 degrees before it was going to burn up on me. So the problem is that I ordered it, and the company, iBuyPower, which I bought this gaming machine from, all the components are really good except for that heat pump, to be honest. But all the rest of the components are pretty darn good. But what I will say is that I don't think I'll ever be buying a computer from iBuyPower again. Number one, they didn't ship the computer as I asked. It was supposed to have built-in lights in the front of the case. They didn't put them in. I contacted them. They sent me a strip of lights that didn't fit in this case. I couldn't put them in, so I've never gotten those. So yeah, so that was the first problem. Then I ordered a USB. Well, I ordered Bluetooth for it, and the way they did that is they gave me a USB transceiver. I installed it. They didn't install it. They were supposed to install it, and it doesn't work. It won't work with Windows. And I told them, so they sent me another one. It still didn't work. Then on top of that, when I took the computer out of the case, I was really impressed by it. I fired it up, and it only had 16 gigs of RAM. I'm like, whoa. I mean, I wanted more than 32, but I paid for 32. How do I have 16? I opened the case up, and the RAM card wasn't seated. When you seat it, not only to seat it, but it has 2 locking pins that come up on the sides, and one of them wasn't seated. It was just there. So I had to push it in and seat the darn thing. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. That's unbelievable. Well, Origin, okay, I don't know Origin. Let me look Origin up and I'll see maybe next time, because I have to get a new computer eventually. Origin Computers, okay. All right, don't know them. PC Gaming, okay, there we go. Oh, they're part of Corsair. Okay, well, that's good to know. That's really good to know. All right, let me see. All right, cool. So, maybe for a laptop, because I need a new laptop. I definitely need a new laptop, so cool. I'll look and see. But yeah, so anyway. So, basically, I'm not happy with iBuyPower. So, yeah, and I was very excited. Remember we called it the Beast? Yep. Origin is great but expensive. Well, this was not exactly cheap. I spent, I got some discounts, so it didn't cost that much, but it was a $3,000 machine. It was a $60,000 machine. And in fact, I used 1 month of YouTube revenue. Well, not really, because I had to pay taxes, so it was actually more than a month back in the day when I actually was making money to build this computer. Erica has photos of that, had her in tears. Well, I mean, we missed it because we didn't have it. iBuyPower sucks. Well, I can confirm that, but I will tell you. So the guy that he's a Marine. The guy that I had work on this. Okay, so that's where I was at. So I get the part from Amazon, and I take the part, and I put the fans on the radiator. I mount it inside. I had to take the power supply out of the case because there's no room back there to cover off the other side. And I go to hook everything up, and I found a SATA connection finally to put the controller up. But then I couldn't find all these power connections I needed. The cables were non-standard that came with the iBuyPower. They weren't standard sort of cables. Well, I don't have cables around. I don't have the cable heads. I don't have the time to sit there and cut the heads off, and even if I had them, and wire them. So after spending all that time trying to fix it Friday evening, it arrived about 5:45 in the afternoon, and I had just finished eating some steamed crabs a short while before that. I was watching some Hogan's Heroes. And then that arrived. I pulled it out, got the case out, started dismantling everything. And by 7 o'clock, I was beyond frustrated by not being able to find the right connections. So I knew what I was doing, but I couldn't find the right connections. The good news is that I bought a Corsair heat pump system, which is 50% larger. It came with ceramic, not ceramic, thermal paste already applied. You just pull a little strip off, connected. So I hadn't done that yet. So I looked for PC repair, and I found one that was open 24 hours, but looked kind of like a corporate sort of thing. And I saw this one thing, and I clicked on it. It said Dan Tech, okay? And he said he's a Marine, and he gives discount to military. I don't know if I got a discount, but anyway, maybe I did. But he's open till 11 p.m. Well, he works from home. So I called him, and I said to him, listen, I've got a bit of a problem here, and it's difficult, hard for me as an Army officer to ask the Marines for help, but I need your help. He laughed and said, hey, that's great. No, I had already done that. I tried the thermal paste. I thought that was the problem initially. That didn't solve the problem. Yeah, he removed the old thermal paste. Yeah, don't worry about that. So he does house calls, but he said I should bring it to him. So I had to put the computer in the trunk and drive about 55 kilometers, 60 kilometers down to him up in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere. Felt like I was in the movie Deliverance in a rainstorm with the clouds, the mist almost at street level going up into the hills. Dropped it off there, and he said, leave it here, and I'll work on it. I came home. I got a message from him. But on the way back, I sent him a voicemail because I was still driving. I said, hey, listen, on that board, you probably know it, but maybe you don't, on that Corsair board, the lights won't turn on and you can't turn them on unless you install the software on the PC, because that's the controller that runs those lights. They don't just run on their own manually. So he sent me a text and said, yep, thanks. Anyway, he called me up a little bit later, or sent me a text a little bit later, said he was making good progress. Then he called me and said, hey, still working on it, but I'll be done shortly because it's a 45-minute drive down there, an hour. So even though it's only like 55 kilometers, you got to go through back roads and traffic lights and all that nonsense before you get there. So I drove back there at 12:30 in the morning and 12:20, got there about 1 o'clock in the morning, 10 after, picked up the PC, brought it back, and got busy. So yeah, so the thermal paste isn't the problem. It was the pump. The pump was dead. Same thing happened to Justin Unwin. That's Erica's son. I was staying with them recently when I was in Cape Town, and his computer did the exact same thing. The heat pump crapped out. He had to send it over to someone to take care of it, and got it done, got it back the next day. So yeah, look, computers have gotten more complicated like everything else in life. So the last time that here's my thermal paste sitting right here. A little needle there. Thermal paste. This one is TM30, so some low impedance there. Anyway, but yeah, so they've got more complicated. Last time I built computers, I didn't have to deal with an air conditioning unit, which is essentially what these things are. But yeah, I've got this software now. I can pull it up, and it shows me all kinds of crap. Let me see if I can put this over here and show you guys. Whoops, that's not what I want. I want this desktop. There we go. Let me expand that over here, and I'll show you on the other screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Most people are going to be bored by this, but the computer geeks are just going to be all excited. See all the sensors over here? Coolant temperature, the pump, how fast it's turning, the Intel Core processor, 48 degrees Celsius now. The NVIDIA card is at 42 degrees. Yeah, there you go. And I'm using 14% of my processing power right now. Broadcasting, got browsers open, got all kinds of crap. I can click on the motherboard. I can click on the heat pump over here. I can rearrange all this. I can change the lights. It's kind of cool. I haven't really figured it out. I mean, it's not sexy, the app, but it could be a lot sexier in my view. But it does the trick, and it helps me see the temperature without exiting and going to the BIOS. How big is the intercooler on that bad boy anyway? What do you mean intercooler? You mean the heat sink, the heat pump? It's 360 millimeters. So my system has those three on the top with a 360 radiator with the fluid in it. And then the heat sink comes down on top of the CPU. It has a fan at the back, which blows onto the motherboard. And all that's integrated. At the bottom, it has 3 separate fans that blow up because there's a graphics card down there. So, yeah. Well, size doesn't matter, Slurpy Pickle, but your question was unclear. I don't understand what you're asking, so please explain what you're asking of me, and I'll try to answer it. Meanwhile, the Mumpara of the week is the Sunday Times, who ran a decent news story on Ramon Cabanach, and I'll talk about that briefly. I'll probably do a video on that one, but I don't think anybody cares. But they do an op-ed in which they attack him. So on one hand, they're doing a newsworthy story. On the other hand, they're just looking for clicks. So I've called them my Mumpara of the week. It's been a while since I picked a Mumpara, so there you go. Anyway, yeah, so that won't be the end of my Rugby Ascendant analysis. I'm going to do more videos over there, but that one's going pretty well. Yeah, no, that one's pretty useful, but that comes with that motherboard. So the only thing I don't like about it is the lights, but it looks like a rainbow. It looks like an LGBTQ, party over here going on. I feel like I'm at Queer as Folk, looking at my PC. When before it used to have these lovely solid colors that would change. I can probably change this, but the one fan will never be in sync. So here's like the inside of my case, what it looked like the other day before I went and got it repaired. Look at those lights. So there's 3 at the top. See, there's 3 fans at the top, and then the one in the back, and look at the colors. It's pretty cool. And those colors change. Now I've got this rainbow. Let me see. It's seriously, it looks like I'm in Queer as Folk, an episode of Queer as Folk. So now it looks like I'm in an episode of Queer as Folk. So, and not that there's anything wrong with that, as Seinfeld would tell you. But yeah, now that's what I got now. It looks like CDs spinning. So I don't really care for that color scheme. But that doesn't affect the function of the computer, which is what matters. So anyway, it's geek, not Greek. Anyway, but yeah, so working on that. I need to charge my phone here. It's down to 38%, and I've got to run after this broadcast. They had a big sale on steamed crabs today. I wasn't planning on eating any, but hey, you mark them down that much, I got to get some. Looks like Unit 2 Phoenix during Diwali. Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, so let's get on to some of the news. So as I was saying, the Sunday Times is my Mumpara of the week. Cyril Ramaphosa is demanding a UN Security Council veto for Africa. And I say, not going to happen. Not interested. Not going to happen. Yeah, no, they're dirt cheap. They're $20 off a dozen. So for their prices, normally this is dirt cheap. They've had sales recently because there have been so many crabs running because of the weather. It just made them easier to get crabs. Plus, there's been a big harvest year, so it drove the price down a little bit because of availability. And that's good because they're way overpriced, and I'm spending way too much money on crabs. But it's a season that's ending soon. By the end of October, normally can't get crabs anymore. So got to strike while I can. October would be busy for me. I've got consulting gig at the work college. I've got preparation for the election on November 5th, and then if, in fact, I do go to the UK for the Springboks tour, I've got to coordinate all of that, and that will be in November, so lots going on. Busy. Anyway, so, yeah, also trying to pay bills. Yeah, I paid bills last night after I got my computer back. I made sure, but then I screwed up. I double paid one of my cards. I'd already paid the bill, and I saw it. I'm like, okay, I was half asleep. I'm like, okay, let me pay it. And I went and looked, like, wait a second. I looked at my spreadsheet, and I'm like, I've already paid that bill. So I was able to go back and cancel it. Otherwise, that money would have been taken out of my account. It's like, whew, thank goodness. Yeah, anyway, crazy weather in Tennessee, North Carolina. We're going to talk about that a little bit, Maryland. Yeah, this storm has been devastating. I've got messages from people. What's this? Sorry, I got to put a laughing emoji here. Anyway, October 1st, there's 1 month before the U.S. elections. That is correct. Looks like Unit 2 Phoenix during Diwali. Oh, you talking about my PC? Oh, my goodness. Okay. Right. Allison Johnson, hello to you. And Marilyn Brokenshaw, Slippery Pickle. And Janet Liddy's back. Hi, everyone. Having fun on my vacation in Florida. I had to evacuate twice at my cousin's, not the beach now. I'll go back to South Carolina. I have no power, plant, or phone. Wow. Any updates on your home in South Carolina, by the way, Janet? I was thinking about you. I was wondering where you're at. I hope your home is okay. Yeah, I would tell you that I would be very careful where I live on the East Coast. You can live on a hill, but you got to live on a hill that's solid, got good granite or something under it because you don't want to be washed away. By the same token, you don't want to be down the valley because you get washed away by the floods and the rivers. Don't want to be in low-lying areas. Don't want to be in mountains that are unstable. So difficult situation. Anyway, let's get to some of this news now. So the Israelis have taken out another Hezbollah commander. Big news out of the Middle East. They've also today just attacked Yemen. They just went down after Yemen, the western side of the country. That conflict is all over. It's now in Gaza. It's in southern Lebanon, and it's also in Yemen. It's crazy. It's not business as usual, says John Steenhuisen, leader of the Democratic Alliance and the Minister for Agriculture. He says the ousting of Cilius Brink and Schwane puts cooperation at risk in other provinces. This story by Natasha Moran or Marion in the Sunday Times. The booting out of Schwane Mayor Cilliers Brink this week places the DA cooperation with the ANC and other municipalities such as eThekwini, Durban, Ekurhuleni, and Nelson Mandela Bay at risk. It's the latest in a string of disagreements between the two parties, the largest of the 10-member government of national unity, though the DA remains pragmatic about the coalition. Yep. DA leader John Steenhuisen told the Sunday Times this week that it was important to stop. Now, this is not a word. This is word salad. So, catastrophizing differences of opinion. That's not a word, man. So stop it. Stop catastrophizing and also stop using the word. My goodness. Well, if the world goes to war, slippery pickle, bear in mind that I'm a colonel and subject to recall. I'm not old enough that I can't be recalled. That's another 12 years away. Yep. 17 people killed in another mass shooting in South Africa. It's Grand Theft Auto. Man, this is crazy. South Africans love to comment on mass shootings in America, especially black supremacists, to attack me on my channel when I talk about things in South Africa. Well, the mass shootings in South Africa at Shabeens and elsewhere just continue unabated in lawless South Africa. It's like the Wild West. Where did that come from? There we go. All right. 17 people killed in 2 mass shootings in the same South African town. 17 people, including 15 women, were killed in 2 mass shootings that took place close to each other in rural South Africa on Saturday. The search was underway for the suspects. National Police spokesperson Brigadier Athalinda Mata said in a statement the victims were 15 women, 2 men. She said the other person was in critical condition in a hospital. Wow, 4 women, 1 man, and a 2-month-old baby did survive this. A manhunt has been launched to apprehend those behind these heinous killings. It took place Friday night in the town of Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape. Wow. Video released by police showed that the shootings occurred at 2 houses in the same neighborhoods, which is a collection of rural homesteads in the outskirts of town. Local media reported that the people attending a family gathering at the time of the shooting, but the motive for the killings is unclear. Wow. South Africa, a country of 62 million people, recorded 12,734 homicides in the first 6 months of this year. That's more than 70 per day. Wow. Whew, crazy. The failed state. Democratic Alliance seeks a meeting with Mynheer Palapala after the Cilliers Brink ouster. Will they go to bat for Cilliers Brink? Don't hold your breath, ladies and gentlemen. Don't hold your breath. Democratic Alliance is seeking intervention at the national level with Ramaphosa as the leader of the ANC after the DA-led coalition was removed from the city of Schwane. Now, I did an in-depth analysis of this video, which was published last night. You can catch that on this channel. Let's see how it's doing. I don't think it's doing all that great. Let me take a look. Maybe it's doing better than I thought. We'll see. It has 4,600 views. Not great, but we picked up 13 subscribers as a consequence of it. I think it's very good analysis, but then I'm biased because I did it. It is getting a lot of comments, 86 comments, 309 likes, 1 dislike. Someone actually disliked it. Wow. Thank you for your contribution there. The Roman Cabernac video I did earlier, let's see how that's doing. It's doing okay, not great, 822. So, cool. Erica says, I often drove through Lusisiki. It's become more and more chaotic. I've never been there. Never been there myself. Not a place I know. Anyway, so yeah. So Cilliers Brink, they're not going to go to bat for him. You can see all my analysis there. Well, long overdue. This is the comment from the economic freedom fighters regarding a class action lawsuit against big banks. One based on race hustling and nonsense from what I can see. But maybe they have a point. We'll see. The economic freedom fighters, led by Julius Malema, say it fully endorses the long overdue Rand 60 billion class action lawsuit against South Africa's major banks for their predatory and exploitative practices, which the party says has left hundreds of poor, primarily black South Africans, homeless and destitute. The crux of the argument, as Leanne Matis, people say I'm pronouncing her name wrong. I don't know how you pronounce it in Afrikaans. It's spelled Matis. That would be how you pronounce it in German, and it is of German origin. But if you want to correct me, please let me know the correct way to say her name, Leanne Matis. Anyway, I appreciate the input, but I forgot how to pronounce it correctly now. Anyway, they're alleging that black South Africans are disadvantaged because they make loans and then they don't pay the loans back, and the EFF says it's predatory for the banks to then foreclose on the property that the payments weren't made. That's kind of how banking works, EFF. It's not predatory. It's not racist. It's not anti-black. It's the only way the system can work. So their expectation is that a bank should reach into its wallet. Oh, there's nothing in mine. Reach into its wallet, give you money for a house, and you have no obligation to repay the money. Well, where does that money come from? It comes from people who pool their money together to form a bank, to loan money, to make money off the interest, to make a profit, get a return on investment, and then have money to loan to other people. These people are stupid. They're beyond belief stupid. I mean, the things they say is absolutely comical. I took some notes from that story. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah. So EFF national spokesperson Leanne Matis, however you want to pronounce it, said the EFF has consistently exposed how black homeowners are disproportionately targeted. I don't think so. So their argument is like 80% of blacks are denied. Well, they're 80% of the population, so they would not be disproportionately denied. If 10% of the population was black and 80% of the denials or foreclosures were on blacks, then there might be a problem. Anyway, she says they're losing their homes and properties when they encounter financial hardships, while white individuals are given ample time and opportunity to make arrangements without forfeiting their assets. Now, there may be something to that story, but there's no data offered here. She makes no evidence. She presents nothing to deal with that claim. You know, it's weird because on Sundays I've been getting big audiences. Where's everybody at today? Last week we had a huge audience. Today we're just kind of a middling audience. I'll tell you, YouTube is a what have you done for me lately thing. If you don't do something every 5 minutes, people don't come. Anyway, where's the data, please, Leanne? Give us the data. She says these practices have been confirmed by the fact that recent statistics show that out of 6 million home applications submitted by historically disadvantaged persons, presumably those are black folks, less than half were approved, while white applicants continue to receive loans valued exponentially higher. Okay, she's mixing apples, oranges, tangerines, and kiwi fruit there. None of that makes any sense. 6 million loan applications by black folks, less than half were approved. Okay, that's one data point. Now, why were they not approved? If you make 500 Rand a month and you want to borrow 50,000 Rand, that ain't going to happen. You don't have the capacity to pay that loan back. So your loan application will be rejected, not on the basis you're raced, not on the basis of being historically disadvantaged, on the basis of being a bad credit risk. Now, I'm just making up a scenario. Now, if you have a person that has 100,000 Rand a month in income and they wish to borrow 3 million Rand and they're denied, well, that's something to look into. But there might be other reasons. They may be already carrying a debt load and they can't service that. So that's a useless statistic. Half the people, 6 million loan applications, half were denied to black people. That doesn't mean anything. Most South Africans live in abject poverty, courtesy of the ANC's racist laws and its stupid communist macroeconomic policies. So that's a totally useless, absolutely baseless freaking data point by Leanne Matis. Okay, she says, white applicants continue to receive loans valued exponentially higher. Okay, that is a data point, but what's the data? Exponentially higher. She doesn't offer what black folks are getting, the per capita, the average loan they're getting, and even then it doesn't matter. The circumstance of people. So this is another useless data point. This is blatant racism, bigotry, and hatred being spewed by a political party that's on the decline, on the verge of collapse, and nobody knows anything about it. So they're just trying to do this. Slippery Pickle says, I thought the money is brought into existence between correspondence between this using the fractional reserve system, thereby driving inflation, making me poor. Okay, I'm not really sure where we're going with that. It's not related to what I'm talking about. All right, she goes on to say, the EFF has reiterated that African people have been violently stripped of their land for generations by colonialism and apartheid. Oh, well, African people include whites and coloreds, so that's another racist nonsense. If she wants to say black South Africans were stripped of their land by colonialism and apartheid, yeah, well, there's some truth to that, but there's also truth to the fact that, what the heck is this? I have something else on my computer. I don't know what that is. Aura. Where'd that come from? What the heck is this? Let me check on this. Just noticed a new icon on my desktop. When did that get installed? Details. It's been there since 2021? Never noticed that before. Wow. I think that icon got reappeared when it did something on my computer. Anyway, yeah, so this is just more race hustling. She said, we're forced into cramped townships and locations left without dignity of space and ownership. Well, when the 9 Koso wars were fought, the Koso were living in mud, wattle, daub homes. They didn't have luxury homes built of brick and stone. So I don't know what you're talking about there. Now, even in our pursuit of home ownership, we remain landless, dispossessed twice over by white capitalist banks. Oh, there's another racist line, white capitalist banks. Capitec isn't a white capitalist bank, and there's nothing wrong with capitalism. That's how people survive and thrive in this world. When it comes to credit for consumer goods, clothing, cars, and credit cards, white establishments are quick to trap us in endless debt. Okay, so here's the argument that Leon Matis is making. Oh, black South Africans have their property repossessed. Their loans denied because they're black. But then she comes back and says, oh, but they give us credit to trap us in debt. So which is it? They deny you debt or they give you debt? These people are just so nonsensical, so bigoted, so full of hatred. Actually, they're not. This is just a scam. That's all it is. It's a scam to get attention. They think that they can tell people this stuff, and they think they're stupid. They don't see the irony and the complete disconnect between claiming that black people are denied loans and then later bitching that they're actually given loans and trapped in debt. Morons. But it's about owning a home. They block our path at every turn, denying us the one thing that could truly liberate us from generational poverty. This is an orchestrated system of oppression. Leon Matis, you're not very bright. Home ownership is fiction. It's absolute fiction. Let me tell you why it's fiction. It's a fantasy that's put in place by politicians who like to pretend that you can create generational wealth. My mother owned a home. I got nothing. The home was sold to pay her debts. Nothing, not a penny. I didn't want anything, but I got nothing. My father owned a home. He had a partner who was 30 years younger than him. She's still alive. I got nothing from his home. So grow up and stop being such total turds. Generational wealth. Really? A mortgage is debt slavery. Debt slavery. And no one owns a home unless the jurisdiction you live in doesn't tax anything. This home that I live in, that I pay an outrageous amount of money to own, I don't own it. The bank owns it. And the proof of the pudding is last year when the bank I made the loan with several years ago sold the promissory note to a very unpopular, very inefficient, very tone-deaf, useless mortgage company. Why they did that, I don't know. They like to do that. They make all their money up front and they get rid of it. There's still money to be made by people who are looking for margins and do it in bulk. So they sold the note. Well, when they did that, for whatever idiotic reason, they closed my loan down rather than simply transfer it. So my credit history took a hit. I dropped almost 50 points on my credit score overnight because the loan was paid off, except it wasn't. So it was reported as paid off, loan is done and dusted, and I made a new loan. So it affected my credit history because they paid off the loan, but they didn't pay off the loan. The promissory note was purchased. I still owed the money, and they're still paying on the same loan. The good news is my credit history was restored after that loan was put back on the books. But what a bunch of nonsense that is. And that proves to you you're a debt slave. Because my credit history, my credit worthiness, my ability to borrow money was impacted by a bank I have no control over. I didn't miss a payment. I wasn't late with a payment. In fact, I pay extra every month to get this damn monkey off my back. Yet I'm a debt slave. And even if I wasn't a debt slave, the place that I live in, because of the municipality, that's not a municipality, the township, and this freaking school district with this gold-plated commodes, I have to pay so much money just to live here. If I don't pay those taxes every year, they confiscate my home and sell it. And I get nothing. I get nothing. So this is what Leon Matis wants for black South Africans? You just want a home? What a bunch of nonsense. Then she's going to complain, well, they won't give us loans. Well, they give us loans. Now we're debt slaves. Yeah, dummy. Wake up. Now, she added that as far back as in 2019, the EFF called for a judicial commission of inquiry with forensic financial expertise to investigate these. Okay, that's fine. I have no problem with that. That's a fair question. To investigate these discriminatory practices after widespread reports of deeply entrenched racist practice within South African banking sector, where black people are systemically exploited and denied fair access to financial services. Well, that's strange. None of these so-called widespread reports were mentioned here. It's just racist drivel and drabble. So furthermore, we call for banking licenses to be revoked from institutions that continue to discriminate based on race. Well, you haven't proven any of them done that. It is therefore deeply concerning that it took until this year for the Minister of Human Settlements, Mamaloko Kubaya, to summon the banks to address the shocking statistics regarding their racist practice denying Africans access to financial service. Again, Africans include white people. Stop being a racist. And if 50% of black applicants don't get access to money, that doesn't mean there's a racist practice in there. Businesses have a responsibility to continue business. If South African banks just give money to people because they're black, that reason alone, they're not creditworthy. They fail to pay the loans back. They don't foreclose on the property to recoup the losses. Where do you expect the money to come from? How do you expect the bank to stay in business, you dingbat doorknob? My goodness. Even now, the onus falls on individuals to pursue class action lawsuits, highlighting a glaring neglect of effective government oversight and legislative action to protect the marginalized. With the current DA-led coalition, the prospects for genuine accountability have diminished significantly. Okay, the government of national unity, Leon Matis, is not DA-led. Far from it. They're weak. They're ineffective as far as influencing the direction of the country. Slavishly going to the Chinese communists and bowing down, licking their boots, staying silent on support for Gaza, staying silent for support for Russia, staying silent on the ANC's collusion and its payoffs from the Iranian theocrats, the terror sponsor state of Iran. They are silent on all of that. They have no impact on policing, no impact on defense, no impact on justice. They have no impact on intelligence. The DA is a toothless tiger. They don't lead the coalition. This is just racist garbage because she's implying that they're a white party and the white party leads the coalition and so black people suffer. When the reality is this so-called white party is just one portion of its voting base. About 1/3 is white, 1/3 is colored, and now 1/3 is black. It's the most racially diverse party in South Africa, and I constantly attack the DA for its failures, but I also report the truth. So not only that is it racially diverse, but the DA is actually helping people. Home Affairs has improved demonstrably since Leon Schreiber took over. The other ministries are improving. Education is improving. So what is their problem? This is race hustling 101 by the EFF. Unbelievable. Shameful people. Shameful people. This partnership perpetuates a system of favors the interest of the privileged few over the needs of the marginalized. Well, privileged few are the people that can afford to pay back loans. I suppose you want to look at it that way. Why don't you focus on getting proper education for people and opening up opportunities and focus on the state's failure to deliver infrastructure, safety, security, prosecution, incarceration, roads, toilets, sewage, highways, airports, rails. That should be your focus. You fix those things, those opportunities will open up. And get rid of the racist laws in South Africa, which will encourage foreign direct investment in your broke-ass country. Leon Montes. The EFF has long recommended that government needs to provide significant housing finance subsidies for middle income and low earners, including those earning minimum wage. Well, in fact, the government of South Africa did provide exactly that. But she offers no details, and she ignores the fact that the government of South Africa under the ANC did exactly that, the housing subsidy program. I did an entire graduate thesis at Iowa State University on the unfairness and the stupidity of that particular grant and how it can be done effectively. So she doesn't know what she's talking about. See, don't come to a gunfight with an open mouth and nothing to back up your mouth. Stupid, Leanne. Stupid, Leanne. I'd love to interview her. I've always said I'd never interview the EFF, but I'd love to interview her because she comes across as quite stupid. But this is all propaganda for the masses. Initially, to enforce laws preventing banks from repossessing homes from individuals who have paid off 50% of their bond but are unable to continue payments due to socioeconomic hardships. So her argument is they want a law that basically gives people who've paid 50% of their mortgage off free pass to not pay their bills and let the bank take the loss. What a bunch of nonsense. Odin's Viking says the DA is now the ANC. Doubt they will exist by the next election. Yeah, they're definitely going to take a hit. Front page news, Investec locked account to Paul Mashatili's crew over irregular transfer. Wow. The $83 million might have something to do with the house he owns in the Western Cape. Yeah, the GNU isn't going to last. The media is going to help destroy it before it destroys itself. Joe Berg just lost my property again. Got my utility bill. My property tax refers to vacant land category being taxed more than residential land. Now I have to go and supply them with proof that my house exists. It happens at least 3 or 4 times a year. It's just insane. It's just a grift. They're just trying to hurt people. That's what they're doing. Light Rain says, I acquired a property in Key West, immediately went through Hurricane Irma. Learned many people can't get or afford insurance. No, the insurance is crazy. And it's unfair that people build their freaking McMansions in the path of hurricanes on the coast of Florida and my insurance goes up. It's unfair that people have accidents and my insurance goes up. I have no accidents. I have no claims on my house. My insurance on my house in the past decade has gone from $600 a year to $1,800. It's a 300% increase. I've never had a claim. My house is valued slightly more, but it isn't valued 300% higher than it was when I bought the place. So this is just pure scam ripoff. And why? Because people keep building McMansions in the Gulf Coast and getting destroyed. And my insurer is USA. And USA covers veterans and service members who live in Florida in the path of hurricanes who keep building McMansions. And they have losses. So how do they recoup them? By raising my rates. No, it's stupid. I'm tired of it. Unfortunately, the majority of South Africans don't understand how finance works and are fully unfairly targeted. Yeah. Yep. That's right. All right, so Leon Matis really doesn't know what's going on. No ransom was paid, as I said, in the case of Elise Fundemeva. There she is. Much better picture of her now. The other one was so small we couldn't tell what she looked like. Now we can see her bleachy blonde hair. 3 suspects have been arrested for their involvement in the kidnapping of Elise Fundemeva and a Chinese businesswoman. One of the suspects was shot and wounded by the police, and the other 2 were intercepted during a crime intelligence operation. Eastern Cape Police spokesman Warrant Officer Moholo Nkoli said on Sunday that the preliminary investigation revealed the vehicle was stolen in the Western Cape, and Richard Jackson just subscribed. Bye donkey, Richard. You're probably watching one of the videos I made, but thank you. Appreciate you joining us here. The suspects are due to appear in a Craddock Magistrates Court on Monday on charges of possession of stolen property. The couple is also scheduled to appear in Port St. John's. Well, how about on kidnapping? Why just possession of stolen property? Not sure what that's all about. Maybe the state's making its case. Speaking of the government of national unity, the fake government of national unity, the Grand Coalition, and its slavish devotion to the Chinese communists, they're celebrating the imposition of Chinese communism 75 years ago, which of course means you're celebrating the murder of 40 million Chinese citizens. Yeah. And the continued communist state, the plagiarism, the intellectual property theft, the trademark violations, the copyright infringements, all of these, the trade barriers by the Chinese communists, that's what the ANC is celebrating. Here you go. Unwavering. Mama Loko Kubaya, South Africa's foreign policy is unwavering under the GNU with strict adherence to the one China policy. There you go. Lick the boots of the Chinese communists. Minister of Human Settlements, Kubaya, has led the South African government delegation at a Chinese embassy's grand reception in Pretoria, hosted by Ambassador Wu Peng to celebrate, is he from Wuhan? 75 years of the founding of the People's Communist Republic of China. Representing Munir Palapala at the colorful reception attended by several ambassadors and high commissioners posted to Pretoria, cabinet ministers, deputy ministers, members of the academia, military, local, and international media, Kabaya said the government of national unity's foreign policy is centered on the historic principle of progressive internationalism. Ladies and gentlemen, I've searched the South African Constitution and I cannot find that collection of words, progressive internationalism, listed anywhere in the South African Constitution. I think, methinks that this woman is delusional and spewing her racist, garbage, leftist, socialist idiocy from her days of inculcation by communists. Taiwan is not part of China. Taiwan is the legitimate government of China. As a cabinet minister in the government of national unity of the Republic of South Africa, I wish to reiterate that the GNU's foreign policy has remained unchanged, based inter alia on our Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and centered on the historic principle of progressive internationalism. No, not in the Constitution. Total nonsense. Total nonsense, you commie-loving bootlickers. More snow in KZN, folks, but not as bad as last time. Residents in KZN have been warned to brace themselves for more snow and freezing temperatures as the new week starts. Snowfall has been forecast for the Western Cape, but the South African Weather Service said the snowfall is likely to be less severe than last weekend. Last weekend, severe snow in the Free State and KZN left one person dead and thousands stranded on the N3 toll road, especially through Van Riemen's Pass. I have never refused to resign. This story in the Times, the Sunday Times, is actually pretty accurate, pretty fair, and pretty good, but it's followed up with a ridiculous op-ed in the same paper. I have never refused to resign. Embattled Chief of Staff defends his record, says he's waiting for negotiations to start. Interesting, they take a picture of him looking kind of defiant there. Podcaster Ramon Kabanek says being hired as Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen's Chief of Staff was a dream come true. Okay, Sunday Times, he's not a podcaster, he's a Chief of Staff, so get that straight. He said, for now, a defiant Kabinet continues to report for work at his Pretoria office every day, despite Steenhuisen asking him 2 weeks ago to resign. That's not what happened. He asked him if he would consider resigning. That's what happened. I've never refused to resign, he said. Until now, nobody from HR has been in contact with me. So what's the problem? He says, I have top secret clearance and diplomatic passport, and I'm in possession of classified material and cabinet reports. Do I just put those on my table and go home? He said he'd gone through 6 weeks of intensive vetting to get the job. They checked and tested everything from my matrix, my personality, my aptitude to my degree. How can people now expect me to just walk out? Exactly. So pretty good story, pretty honest, but that is also followed up by this lunacy in the same paper. The Mampar of the Week. They say Roman Kabinet is the Mampar of the Week. Yeah, and it's really snarky and disgusting and vile if you read this thing. Perhaps this Mampar should spare his boss the embarrassment of what surely awaits, namely an inglorious exit from the halls of government. For not being able to read the direction from the cold winds that await him in the future, Kabinet is our Mampar of the Week. Well, my Mampar of the Week is the Sunday Times Hogarth section for this stupidity and this character assassination. Roman Kabinet has broken no laws. Roman Kabinet has not failed his job. Roman Kabinet is doing his job. What is your problem? What is your problem? What language do they speak in Taiwan, Mandarin, Chinese? Well, Jonathan, what language do they speak in South Africa? English. So are you our property? Are you part of the United States? They speak English in Wales. Is it part of the United States? They speak English in Canada. Is it part of the United States? Come on, what kind of logic is that? They speak Mandarin Chinese in Vietnam. That doesn't mean it's part of China. They speak Mandarin Chinese in Malaysia. That doesn't mean it's part of China. What is your point, man? Jonathan, what is your point? I mean, you can have a point. You can say that I'm wrong because Chiang Kai-shek fled and abandoned China, so it's not his anymore. You can make that point, but you can't say that, well, because they speak Mandarin. So what? They speak Korean in North Korea. Doesn't mean they're part of South Korea. No, but we should have stayed part of Britain. Ooh, Arctic. That's fighting words, man. They're going to come after you. Hey, speaking of fighting words, Dr. Iqbal Survey, the head of the toilet paper of record, known as the Independent Line, busy trashing people, is in Russia. Oh, and this slavishly devoted story by the OL. This guy, they don't even put their names on the staff reporter. Who's the staff reporter, you cowards? Yeah, the exhibition hosted by Russian consul Alexei Malenko featured extraordinary visuals captured from space by Russian cosmonauts Ivan Wagner and Sergei Kudserchev. Interesting that a Russian is named Wagner because that's a descendant of the Volga Germans there. Anyway, but they just slavishly talk about Dr. Survey's speech underscored the critical importance of global solidarity. Oh, just goes on and on about the bonds. He said he recounted South Africa's historic bonds with Russia, China, India, Brazil, forged during the anti-apartheid struggle. Meanwhile, you lived in the UK, Canada, and the US. We gave you succor and refuge and also fought to end apartheid. But you scumbag pieces of human feces, forget that part of the equation. Well, Mondli Makanya at the City Press once again runs with a nonsensical story, folks. Make America Great Britain again. Make Great Britain America. Thank you for the $2 super chat, Courtney. We're down to the 29th, just a couple days left in September to get that revenue in here. Sorry to be the spoiler of the feel-good vibes about the grinning handshake and hug between President Cyril Ramaphosa and billionaire Elon Musk, but it was very cringeworthy, and they're very upset. It goes on to attack Musk, saying lots of things about Musk that are not legitimate, dishonest, some of which are true, all of which show that this person clearly has a grudge against Elon Musk. I just don't trust Elon Musk. He says, not just the most odious billionaire, just odious human being. He's up there with Donald Trump, Nigel Farage, and Andrew Tate in the bigoted weirdo stakes. Well, Donald Trump is not a bigot. Neither is Nigel Farage. They're just white. You're the bigot. Stop being an ass. We're getting to the IDF boom booms. Very patient. Rossi says he's happy for Monty Lubbock. He says it's lecca when a player doesn't get booed off the pitch. That's not a good news story when you've got to say that. So, lecca that a player doesn't get booed off the pitch. Springbok coach Rossi Erasmus took to heart the rapturous applause that playmaker Monty Lubbock received after he left the field during the Springboks' 48-7 demolition of Argentina in Mbombela on Saturday. Lubbock was relieved of the kicking duties, but was spectacular with ball in hand, which is what I've said he's capable of. That's what I've said all along. So we'll see how many people attack me for that. No, Elon Musk is not enough for Connor. Zimbabwe has devalued its crappy gold currency by 43%. Whew, the end is coming. They raised interest rates and devalued their gold-backed currency by 43% following persistent weakness in the ZiG, amid deep skepticism that the nation's latest bid to create a viable local unit would succeed. Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe lifted the benchmark policy rate to 35% from 20%. Can you imagine? At 35% interest, you pay back the entire amount 100% in less than 3 years. That's insane. Less than 3 years to pay it all back. I mean, you double what you got to pay back. Tshisekedi in the DRC is calling on the UN to sanction Rwanda for events in North Kivu. Resurgence of M23 activity supported by Rwanda has led to an unprecedented humanitarian crisis with nearly 7 million internally displaced persons. All true. And what about it? UN's not going to do anything. Airstrikes in Khartoum at Sudan's army as Sudan's army attacks the RSF positions. Airstrikes and shelling rocked Khartoum on Thursday as the army attacked paramilitary positions across the Sudanese capital. Thank you for the super chat, Courtney. It'll be my final super chat for fiscal year 2024. Courtney, that's fine with me. Fiscal year 2024 ends on 30 September, so we'll look forward to your super chats in the new fiscal year. Yeah. His father's Afrikaner, his mom is Canadian. Yep. Rossi should be worried that the Sharks and Stormers cannot win after being in the lead. Yeah, well, I'm worried about it. The Sharks were up 27-7 and lost the game. Stormers weren't up that much. They're up 13-3 and lost the game. But that's been the history of the Stormers. Start of the season, they go to Wales, Ireland, they lose the same way. South Africa wants Africa to have veto power in the UN Security Council. I'm sorry, folks. That ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. Nope. South Africa is mulling a U.S. proposal for Africa to have 2 permanent seats in the UN Security Council. It's a significant shift in the debate over Africa's inclusion, but they want veto power. Nope. And I don't think South Africa should get that seat. Frankly, if we're going to give seats to the UN Security Council for Africa, it should be rotating. If it's permanent, then it shouldn't be South Africa. They've proven to be a country that doesn't respect human rights, doesn't respect minorities, places racist laws in place, and uses politics to oppress the majority population, just like the National Party did. So they don't deserve a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. Frankly, Nigeria is more deserving than South Africa. Even Ethiopia, run by a bunch of lunatics, is better. Yep. So, Marburg virus is on the loose. Killed 6 people in Rwanda, health minister says. Rwanda has confirmed 6 deaths and 20 cases of the filovirus Marburg, according to the health minister Sabine Nsanzimana. The majority of victims are health workers in the intensive care unit. We're counting 20 people were infected and 6 who have already passed away due to the virus. A large majority of the cases and deaths are among healthcare workers, mainly in the intensive care unit. Marburg, a viral hemorrhagic fever, can cause death among some patients with symptoms including severe headache, vomiting, muscle aches, stomach aches. Wow, the fatality rate is as high as 88%. It's from the same family, of course, as the Ebola virus. Wow, crazy. Marburg. And I would like to file a complaint with the United Nations, the World Health Organization. I want the name of Marburg changed. It's racist. A medieval German town with beautiful Fachwerkhäuser does not deserve to be slandered in this racist fashion by naming this African virus after the medieval city of Marburg. Israel launches raids on Yemen's Ras, Isa, and Hodeidah. Attacks in western Yemen come a day after Houthis say they fired a missile at Ben Gurion International Airport near Tel Aviv. Israeli military says its fighter jets have launched air raids on Houthi targets in Yemen. In a statement on Sunday, the military said it targeted Ras, Isa, and Hodeidah. The Houthi-controlled Al-Masra station also said the attacks targeted the ports of Hodeidah and Ras Isa. Strikes come a day after the Houthis attacked. Houthis have repeatedly launched attacks at Israel and on Israeli-linked ships in the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait since November of last year. And what the rebel group controlling much of northern Yemen describes as a campaign of solidarity with the Palestinians under Israeli attack in the Gaza Strip. Well, we didn't see these scumbags launch any attacks against the Palestinians who attacked Israel in October of last year. No, because they're in league with them. Hezbollah misjudged Israel and Iran. Misjudged Israel as being weak and Iran as being strong. Weeks after Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, the leader of Lebanese militant group Hezbollah made a thunderous speech to explain why his men were joining the fight against the Zionist enemy. Israel was shaking and trembling in fear, weaker than a spider's web, said Hassan Nasrallah. Yeah. Unlike previous conflicts with the Jewish state, it's not a Jewish state, it's a democratic state. This was historic and decisive, and Iranian-backed resistance movements from Lebanon to Syria to Iraq to Yemen were duty-bound to participate, is what he said. Today, Nasrallah is dead, done and dusted, as is much of Hezbollah's senior leadership. The remainder of the organization has been decimated by a succession of blows that showcase the stunning penetration by Israeli intelligence. In retrospect, this was the outcome of Nasrallah's making two strategic mistakes: grossly underestimating Israel, his foe, and overestimating the abilities of his patron, Iran, and its network of allied militant groups in the region. More than 1,000 people have been killed in Lebanon since September 16, according to the Lebanese Health Ministry. Almost all of them belong to Hezbollah Tigru. Yes. Now, this from the India Times, the Times of India. Hezbollah leader killed after an Iranian mole tip-off. Wow. Hezbollah chief Saeed Hassan Nasrallah, one of the world's most feared T leaders and the figure who had loomed large over Lebanon for decades, was killed in an Israeli airstrike after intelligence reportedly tipped off Israeli forces hours before the attack. The chilling operation, which took place in the dense southern suburbs of Beirut, was a direct result of a covert tip-off from an Iranian mole embedded deep in Hezbollah's ranks. Wow. As per Le Parisien, the intelligence was precisely leaving Israel with a rare opportunity to eliminate the man at the top. And they got him. Awesome sauce. Israel has taken out another Hezbollah leader. This just occurring a short while ago. About 2 hours ago, Israel's military continued strikes on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon today and announced the death of another high-ranking official with the Iran-backed group, just days after killing longtime Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. Israel's army Sunday said a strike killed Nabil Kaouk, the deputy head of Hezbollah's Central Council. A day earlier, Hezbollah confirmed the strike had killed Nasrallah. The state of Israel eliminated the arch-murderer Hassan Nasrallah. We have settled accounts with someone who was responsible for the murders of countless Israelis and many nationals of other countries, including hundreds of Americans. Asked about the recent events in the region, White House National Security spokesperson, Rear Admiral retired John Kirby, the propagandist, told ABC this week Israel has a right to and a responsibility to eliminate this threat to their people and to their land. Well, there you go. Folks, koala bears. Most of the koalas that are rescued in Eastern Australia are euthanized. Most people don't know that. Kind of sad end to the little cute koalas. 25% of koalas rescued and admitted to hospitals went on to be released to an appropriate habitat, but 75% have been euthanized over decades. Koalas admitted to veterinary hospitals in Australia's east coast are at high risk of euthanasia. A University of Queensland study analyzed records of over 50,000 koala sightings and hospital admissions from 1967 to 2019 and found that euthanasia was the most common outcome. An author of the study, Renee Charlambous, said that just 25% of koalas rescued and admitted to hospitals went on to be released into an appropriate habitat. Many of the animals died before even arriving at the veterinary hospital, and those that did make it were often euthanized on the grounds of welfare, despite vets and carers doing their best to save them. Wow. A study revealed that female koalas, adult koalas, and those with chlamydia were at a higher risk of being euthanized. In 10 years, East Coast koalas have moved from no conservation status to vulnerable and endangered. In 2012, they became vulnerable. In 2022, they're now endangered. Endangered status followed rampant bushfires in 2019 that killed 6,400 koalas in New South Wales alone. Sad news for the koalas. Let's save the koalas, folks. Well, a disruptive bank merger between Italian and a major German bank, Commerzbank, is on the table, and the Germans are upset. UniCredit's efforts to buy Germany's Commerzbank test broader project to revive Europe's vitality and stature in the world. It's a deal that Europe has wanted for a generation. Two big banks combining forces across borders, uniting economies, and unleashing growth that has long eluded the region. Instead, Italian banker Andrea Orcel's surprise attempt to combine his UniCredit with Germany's Commerzbank has turned into a case study on what holds Europe back from keeping pace with the U.S. in economic heft. Germany has come out against the idea of the reformed and healthy UniCredit taking over Commerzbank, widely seen as one of Europe's lingering zombie banks. The objections reflect Germany's risk-averse culture and precarious politics, but also an attitude that banks should be utilities serving the economy, not market-minded companies benefiting shareholders. Well, that's one approach. Another approach is I don't like the consolidation of banks when it eliminates choices for consumers. Marsupials may look cute and cuddly, but they're mean and vicious when they try to pet one. Courtney, have you tried to pet a marsupial? Don't play with badgers. Don't play with badgers. Ethiopia's Mengesha and Katima win the Berlin Marathons. Ethiopia dominates men and women winning the Berlin Marathon. Wow. Ethiopians dominated the Berlin Marathon today as Milkesa Mengisha won the men's race and Tigis Kitima claimed victory in the women's. Mengisha, 24, ran a personal best time of 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 17 seconds to finish ahead of Kenya's Sibriam Kotut and fellow Ethiopian Hamanot Elu. Wow, last kilometer was an engaging battle between Mengistu and Kotut, but the Ethiopian stepped on the gas in the final stretch and surged over the finish line 5 seconds ahead. Can you imagine that? Running for over 2 hours and finishing 5 seconds ahead. It's quite a distance, but geez. In the United States, Trump allies are bombarding the courts with lawsuits, kind of like the Democrats did in 2017 to 2020. Republicans are filing a barrage of election lawsuits in the final weeks of the presidential campaign. The cases may be a roadmap for a legal battle over the results. Republicans have unleashed a flurry of lawsuits challenging voter rules and practices ahead of the November elections, setting the stage for what could be a far larger and more contentious legal battle over the White House after Election Day. The onslaught of litigation, much of it landed in recent weeks, includes nearly 90 lawsuits filed across the country by Republican groups this year. Now, it's interesting that the New York Times takes exception to this and actually reports the news. Now, it's newsworthy. I'm talking about it. Republicans filing lawsuits, monkeying around with election laws days before an election, that's a problem for anybody. But the New York Times said nothing about the Democrats and Democratic groups and donors filing over 350 lawsuits to weaken our election laws in the 50 states and 4 territories from 2017 after Trump won until 2020. And then they say nothing about the state of Pennsylvania ignoring election law, violating its own law to achieve an outcome that was predetermined. They say nothing about that, but they're running a story about the Republicans. I will bring you both sides of the story. Republicans are wrong here. Democrats were wrong before. None of them should be using lawfare to undermine the sanctity and integrity of our choice in who gets in office. Jonathan says BB's a child killer. That's nonsense, Jonathan. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. Hamas brought this war on. They're responsible for the deaths of the people in Gaza. Plain and simple, done and dusted. Chaos looming over the U.S. economy. Upwards of $5 billion a day in economic activity will be lost. Walkout could be a major blow to the economy and leave the White House under pressure to order dock workers back to their jobs, which they could do. There is a legal way to do that. Thousands of longshoremen at ports from New England to Texas are set to strike tomorrow in the first walkout of its kind in half a century, freezing commercial shipping on a massive scale and disrupting the national economy weeks before a presidential election. It could be the biggest disruption in the flow of goods in and out of the country since the height of the pandemic. And shame on them, greedy bastards, going to put our economy, hold us hostage. Biblical devastation, folks, biblical devastation in North Carolina as towns flooded by Helene. The death toll from Helene climbed as emergency responders rushed to rescue residents in small mountain towns that have been cut off from communication. And there's local resident climbs from the rubble of a bridge collapse in American Thread Road near Woodlawn, North Carolina. Good Lord, look at that bridge collapsed. Beverly and Baxter Eller had lived in the same house in North Carolina hamlet of Shenandoah for 37 years and never once had it flooded. That changed before dawn on Friday as Hurricane Helene tore through the region as a tropical storm. The water from the raging river rose fast, then faster until it reached their yard. The couple fled not a moment too soon to huddle with neighbors inside a Baptist church up on the hill. They returned home on Saturday and found their home utterly destroyed. We haven't cried yet, said Beverly, 68, sitting with her husband and dog. That is now their temporary home, their Toyota. Wow. Towns across western North Carolina, including Swanoa, were transformed overnight by the massive storm. Muddy floodwaters lifted homes from their foundations. Landslides and overflowing rivers severed the only way in and out of small mountain communities. Rescuers say they're struggling to respond to the high number of emergency calls. Here is Charles Wyatt looking at the damage to his home near Marion, North Carolina. Wyatt and his wife were trapped inside their home, unable to open the door due to the fast rising floodwaters. Shame. This is a sad story, folks. It's going to play out for a long time. Voters in battleground state of Michigan are split over to vote for Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. What, are people stupid? Why does anybody vote for Kamala Harris? She's a fraud. From Dearborn to downtown Lansing to a suburb of Grand Rapids, Michigan, voters share their clashing perspectives weeks ahead of Election Day. In a state that's 85% or 80% white, only one of these people in this photograph is actually white. Drop boxes opened across Michigan on the 26th September, signaling the start of large-scale voting in the Midwestern battleground state. Recent polls from Emerson and Suffolk University show President Kamala Harris leading Trump by 1 to 2 points. Yeah, okay. Well, people in Michigan vote for her. They're idiots. Stellantis, the actual foreign car maker who stole Chrysler when Obama gave it to them for almost nothing, The automaker created in 2020 merger is dealing with labor unrest, slumping sales, and revolt of its dealers. Okay, so you're going to say, wait a second, how could Obama give it to them in 2021? He left office in 2016. Correct. However, Obama stole Chrysler from its shareholders, gave it to the unions, and then sold it off, and now it belongs to the Italians. Shame on them. Cars sitting on the lot. Stellantis, an automotive colossus that owns more than a dozen brands, including Chrysler, Fiat, Jeep, Peugeot, Ram, is facing overwhelming challenges at the moment. United Auto Workers are expected to vote in coming days on strikes, and they have a surplus of cars sitting on their lots, among other things. Market share at Stellantis brands in the U.S. has fallen to just 8.6% in its biggest market as of June, down from 10% a year ago. Nobody's buying Chryslers, Jeeps, or any of these other cars. If a winner is not declared next night, it won't necessarily point to failures in process, more likely result from intense scrutiny. No. It'll point to failures. For instance, the state of Pennsylvania has failed to change the law to allow mail-in ballots to be counted earlier because they don't trust election officials. Mark Robinson running for governor of North Carolina. He's proven problematic and may deliver the state to Kamala Harris. He's going to deliver it to the Democratic opponent for governor. I don't know if he'll do that for Kamala Harris. How Philadelphia's voting is going. Election workers will race to count votes this fall. Interesting story from the Washington Post. Voting by mail is simple enough. Fill out a ballot, slip it in an envelope, and send it to an election office. Okay. Yeah. Counting the votes, however, is laborious. And in Philadelphia, the biggest city in the most populous swing state, Pennsylvania, it takes an assembly line of special machinery and highly trained staff working nonstop to reach the final results. Even then, it can take days to finish the count because of a state law that prevents election officials from processing mail ballots until 7 a.m. on Election Day. So Pennsylvania is in the awkward position of counting mail-in ballots at the same time that we're getting ballots. But it's not really that awkward. That's a lie. I mean, nobody is counting ballots at 7 a.m. Nobody counts ballots until after 8 p.m. when the polls close. So they have from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. to get their ballots counted. What's so complicated? Why do you say? Because it's an effort by Democrats to steal elections, scientists. So here you go, some images of these workers ripping the envelopes out. I don't want other people touching my ballot. You go vote in person, it goes in the machine, it gets counted right there, and nobody touches it. And you have confidence in the system. Here's the sorting machines. Look at that. Crazy. There you go. You trust that system? I don't trust a system like that. I don't trust that system at all. And there you have it, folks. That's the news for today. Be sure to hit the like button. Just 54 likes. That's pretty lame. What's going on there? Why do we only have 54 likes? Did we do something wrong? Did I say something that torqued someone off? Yes, it does look like the post office, Courtney, but apparently it works, unlike the post office. Never getting the McD, says Charles. What are you talking about? I'm going to hear a lot more about these stories. Yep. Fleshin says cold, windy, but not wet in Oxford. Okay. Always stand with my brothers and sisters in trade unions. Well, you're welcome to do that, Courtney. I have nothing but disdain for trade unions. Miss the Democratic Party from the 90s and 2000s. After this era, the Democrats are way too French. You were correct, Courtney. They are way too French. Belt to bum, says Pablo Charlie. Marsupials may look cute. I already got that. Impressive. Charles V. Wow, Charles V was quite a monarch. Antoinette says, impressive speech by Bibi as the strike was happening. I didn't see that speech, unless you're talking about he gave it to the UN. I saw part of it. Kreutzfeldt Jakob. Oof, mad cow disease. Never count as a fanboy, but what Musk has accomplished is stunning. Tunnel cars are silly, but the guy is rescuing NASA astronauts with his private company. Yeah, no. Look, I mean, I have mixed feelings about Elon Musk, but I'm honest and fair about him. This guy from City Press attacks him, is saying that he's running a hate speech platform. That's nonsense. Twitter was always full of caustic stuff. The difference is the racism, bigotry, and hatred all came from the political left, and it was not addressed. Any person in the center or right was attacked on Twitter and mercilessly attacked by the Twitter platform itself by Jack Dorsey. Let's not forget Jack Dorsey pulling that crap off. I didn't see the Stormers. No, they didn't win, Hendo. Stormers lost. RJ says, what does that even mean? I think you're talking about when I was discussing what Leon Matis had to say from EFF. Or were you asking, what is an Afrikaner? What does he mean to be an Afrikaner? If Zina Onatop from Golden Knight were a real person, Russia would win the war against Ukraine. Maryland says, exactly what the EU wants. You'll own nothing and be happy. Correct. Now I have to sell my totally owned by me to finance my disability. Owning is definitely not the answer when health is a hidden wealth. Well, that's a good statement there, Eric. Health is a hidden wealth. Unfortunately, the majority of how they don't understand. Okay, I already got that. Okay, so I'm caught up now. Cool. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you for the super chats. Courtney, I do appreciate it. A couple bucks there helps. Yep. You patted a Tasmanian devil? Well, that's scary, Erica. There's strange sounds coming out of those creatures. Ethiopian Highlands equip the... Yeah, they do. I worked at 9,800 feet. What's that, 3,000 meters, something like that? Over 3,000 meters in Addis. The U.S. Embassy is up at the top of a hill overlooking the city. Yep, and it was big, thin air. Modern Scandinavians, like the ones in Michigan, suffer from pathological altruism. The world would offer a season themselves at being eaten by wolves. Union first to your money and last to help when you need them. Exactly right, Arctic. Exactly right. And first to harass you. NASA stands for New Zealand, Argentina, South Africa, and Australia. No, it doesn't. Antoinette, it's school holidays here. Folks away for last weekend before school starts up this week. Yes, BB spoke to UN. Yeah, I saw a part of it. James Bond was an actual person, an ornithologist. Fleming got his name in a bookstore. The real James Bond is buried in Pennsylvania. Really, Garrett? I didn't know that. James Bond. James Bond. Shaken, not stirred. No, I think they've had some really good actors playing that. Pierce Brosnan. Sean Connery. Anyway, folks, yeah, there you have it. 60 likes. Well, that's a little bit better. The DA kiss or Sierra's butt? Yes, they do, James. They sure do. No doubt about that. You're definitely doing that. Hey, I'm really excited just to have my computer back. I still got a lot of stuff to do. I've got to prep for the elections. I got to send messages out, contact all my look at how the light changes there. I love that. By putting my arms up here, I get reflection of the light better. It's brighter. Look at that. It's brighter by being put my arms up. I can improve the light by doing that. That's pretty bizarre, isn't it? Look at that. I did send you that James Bond Pennsylvania link last week, Chris. Okay, Hendo, but you send me 1,000 things. I don't get to read most of them. I'm not ignoring them. It's just a lot. Okay, my phone is fully charged. That's a good start for the afternoon. All right. Steamed crabs are like 20% off or something like that. So I'll be picking some of those up at 2 o'clock, which is an hour from now. Yeah. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here. You're going to be redirected automatically to Ronaldo host broadcasts if you want. How can any Christian support Israel's actions over the past year? What actions, Jonathan? Be specific. How can any Christian support Israel's protection of Christians, Muslims, Jews, civilians in Israel by going after Hamas? Any good Christian can do that. How can the Pope call for crusades to restore the Holy Land to Christianity? It's warfare. If there's no Bora, what's this around RG and Roman? Why would anyone have read the newspapers last month? What are you saying, Arctic? What is Bora Rara? You mean Buhara? No Buhara? Oh, yeah, okay, I got it. If there was no brouhaha about Ronaldo and Roman, the papers wouldn't have sold last month. I think you got it. Got it. No, the crabs don't live in steam. They're steamed alive. Talk about cruelty to animals. Yeah, crabs are put into a pot and steamed alive. Yep. Jonathan's a Catholic. All right, well, Jonathan. I'm a Methodist. But my church has had a schism, and I don't have a church right now because it abandoned me. The United Methodist Church has had a schism with the church violating doctrine and Christianity with its policies on LGBTQ+, and a couple other things. And therefore, the church is split. If I do stick with that church, with the faith, I would probably likely go with the schism that is led by Africans, because ironically, they're true to the faith. But the United Methodist Church is one of the biggest situations in Christianity in decades, if not a couple centuries, the schism. It's not quite the Protestant Reformation, but it's a huge deal. The United Methodist Church was a big church in the U.S., in Africa, and now it's split, just cleaved right down the middle by this stupidity. Springbok's video now has 127,000 views. Well, it ended with 112,900. That means 113. So that means 14,000 plus more people have tuned in after the fact. That's pretty incredible. Picked up a lot of subscribers yesterday, so thanks for that, folks. Anyway, Ronaldo is on in about 3 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up here and route you over there. And you can complain to Ronaldo if you were not happy about my program starting early because he's stealing my time. He used to be on 8 o'clock, so I set my time up to not conflict with him because he's got a bigger audience. I'm watching a lot of Christian apologetics versus Muslim dawah. I cringe every time they call people. Rick says, Cheerios to you as well. All right, folks, it's 2 minutes till. You're going to be automatically redirected to Ronaldo if you want to go there. It's up to you. Thanks a lot. Enjoy your day and say hi to Ronaldo for me. All right, everybody take care of yourselves. This is going to jump because it crashed. Hang on, here we go. Watch this. It'll flicker. Sorry about that.